Welcome back to Wake Up America. The Senate probe into the PGA Tour and LIV Golf merger is underway. Two PGA Tour officials were met with dissatisfaction yesterday during testimony, turning a big focus to the messaging a merger like this sends to the American people. For more on this, let's welcome in host of Front and Center with Jacquie Jordan, a PR expert and Republican strategist, Jacquie Jordan, and business and political commentator, John Burnett. Thanks so much for joining us. So yeah, this is a big conversation all over the media yesterday. Jacquie, this merger announced last month, now obviously, they're in D.C. and they're talking about it, but from a PR perspective, what do you make of the way the PGA Tour is handling this? And also, I didn't see as much outcry over maybe the NBA and their relationship with China.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to go with that, Allison.
Other countries.
Exactly. And that's what I find so fascinating, especially since it's being led by a Democratic leader in the Senate hearings. And a couple things that were really interesting to me when I read the papers that the Senate put out, that it's a 501, it's a nonprofit, basically, is how the organization runs. But when we think about China, China owns our farmlands, our businesses, our institutions. We don't stop our land. At least Governor Ron DeSantis put a little bit of a stop or a slowdown in Florida to buying land. So here there's a relationship with Saudi, which is this crown prince is a Trump ally. So you even look at that as very interesting as well.
Yeah, and then a lot of folks with family members from 9/11 too were there as well. So it's emotional too. Definitely a topic that you're talking money, but you're talking emotions. John, Senator Richard Blumenthal, very critical of the deal. Take a listen.
Golf players are role models. They are ambassadors of our values, and the institutions that concern us today are vital to our national interests. To have them taken over by a repressive foreign regime certainly is a matter of our national security.
Does he have a point?
Well, no one should be surprised, right? Because the Democrats own Hollywood. So this is just a Hollywood theater show. The thing is that our relationship with the Saudis go back decades with regard to their investment into American businesses. Even going back to the third quarter of last year, they've invested an enormous amount of private capital into our household name companies like Amazon, Starbucks, and so forth. It goes all the way down the list. Yeah. So why are they having the outrage regarding golf? That's an elite sport. Most of the individuals in terms of working class families, they don't golf. They don't actually even follow the sport.
Well, this goes back to your point at the beginning that, this is a PR crisis. I think it's a great stunt on the Democratic Party to come right after the whole PGA for this.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk about another topic that's getting a lot of attention. So another athlete with a platform, Megan Rapinoe. So she's now claiming that the U.S. has weaponized women's sports, saying, quote, "We as a country are trying to legislate away people's full humanity. It's particularly frustrating when women's sports is weaponized. Show me all the trans people who are nefariously taking advantage of being trans in sports. It's not just happening." Jacquie, what do you make of this? The other thing, she's retiring, and I wonder if she was continuing to play soccer, if she would feel the same way.
The timing of this is very significant, of course, and she's entitled to her opinion.
Sure.
But when I looked at the statistics, we're still looking at 0.5% of the entire nation that is identifying her as transgender. There's like 50% of the nation is women. I just on my podcast just spoke with a bikini fitness model who was 67 years old, and
Good for her.
Yeah, right. And they have to qualify for height. They don't compete against people that are not in their height, not in their weight, not in their age group. So there is, where are the women voices in this? Because competitively, biologically, they compete differently.
Yeah, great point, John. We're seeing other women athletes. They're speaking out about this. So tennis star Martina Navratilova simply tweeting "yikes" in response to this, and then former swimmer Riley Gaines says Rapinoe's comments are anything but inclusive. What do you make of this?
Perhaps she's planning to run for office.
Maybe this is going to be her retirement job,
transition. Right? But if she read the poll numbers, most Americans don't agree with her in her ideology. Why? Because they love supporting their daughters. They love supporting, their friends who are want to compete against other women, not men. That is an unfair advantage.
Yeah, and the whole conversation still goes back to federal funding. It's how they're redirecting federal funding.
And I think the other conversation too, while you're talking about competition, you're also talking about having people change in locker rooms, and that's a big thing that Riley Gaines has spoken about, and a lot of athletes. My daughters have said they're concerned. What if this happens? If I'm changing in a locker room, it's already
I'm still
uncomfortable.
not comfortable sharing public bathrooms.
Right. Just even it's uncomfortable for women to change in front of women. So
and nobody asked me how I felt about it.
Absolutely.
Right. I don't like anyone staring at me.
Yeah, in the word we continue to hear, we hear it on social media, weaponized. Do you think that's this big buzzword?
They weaponize the word weaponized.
Right.
True.
Yeah, all right. Well, great conversation. Thank you so much, John, Jacquie Jordan. Great conversation.